Have you ever felt completely drained after talking to someone who's going through a hard time? Maybe it's a coworker venting about their messy divorce, or a family member talking about politics, or a friend who's spiraling about a really bad health scare. You genuinely want to help, but afterwards, you can't help but feel anxious and heavy and emotionally hijacked by their problems. Here's what most people don't realize. There is a massive difference between compassion and empathy, and once you understand the difference, you'll be able to help more people while protecting your inner peace. Let me show you exactly what I mean. I used to be someone who absorbed everyone's pain. If you were stressed, I was stressed. If you were anxious, I definitely became anxious. I think that's what I thought caring looked like back then, feeling everything with you. But recently, I've had this situation with my coffee guy who's working at 7-Eleven. He's this young guy from India, has no family, and works really long hours. So we've kind of built this morning ritual of having light conversation over my cup of coffee. But one day, he was visibly upset. He told me that there was a massive flood going on in his home state in India. There was complete places that were underwater and families that were absolutely displaced. And he kept asking me, did you watch the news? You really need to watch the news. What's going on with my people? It's absolutely horrible. And I felt this old familiar trigger. Someone else wanting me to absorb their pain, watch traumatic footage, and carry their emotional weight. I'll be honest, my emotional defenses went straight up. I thought to myself, there is no way I should be doom scrolling and have that mess my entire day. After that encounter, when I was driving home, something clicked. This wasn't about news consumption. This was about a guy who was alone and scared for his family, and he just wanted someone to witness his pain. Not absorb it, but witness it. Here's what I realized, and this will apply to every difficult conversation you will have. Most people think caring means feeling with someone. That's empathy. Taking on their emotional state, getting activated by their problems, carrying their stress in your body. But that makes you less helpful, not more. I realized what this young man needed was compassion. Me caring deeply for him without taking on his suffering into my system. So here's what I did differently. First, I held space for my own discomfort. When I felt my resistance rising, I honored that reaction instead of trying to fight it. And when I gave myself that space, I realized that, oh, my resistance is more about my fear of getting emotionally hijacked, which, come to think about it, is more about me and not really about him. Then, and this is the key, because I had done my inner work and had the tools to keep me grounded, I could then engage with his pain without it destabilizing me. I went home that night and I watched 1 minute of the footage. I imagined my family going through this devastation, and how I would feel sitting thousands of miles away, feeling completely powerless to help. It definitely moved me. I definitely did get emotional, but I didn't get hijacked by it. That's the difference. You'll never believe what happened next. The next morning when I saw him, I told him that I had seen what his home state in India was going through, and that I was genuinely sorry about the horrible things that his people were undergoing, and I felt bad about what his family was experiencing. And as he was listening, he had this frustrated look in his eyes. And when I finished, this frustration melted into this kind of relief. And then he smiled wide, and he actually shook my hand and said, simply, "You are my friend." All because I held space for his pain without making it about me. Now, let me be clear. There's a big difference between what I just described and being someone's emotional garbage can. If you have people in your life who constantly dump negativity on you, who never reciprocate care, who emotionally drain you and never give back, that is not about empathy versus compassion. That is about boundaries with dysfunctional relationships. But for the genuine healthy relationships in your life, no matter how casual, just like my coffee guy, this approach changes everything. I challenge you to think about your own life. That friend of yours who's going through a rough patch and genuinely needs your support. Your parent who's going through a health scare that they don't know how to manage, or a coworker who's trying to deal with a family crisis. You've been trying to help by feeling everything with them, getting stressed when they're getting stressed, losing sleep over their problems, carrying their anxiety in your chest hours after the conversation has finished. But what if I told you that your emotional stability is what allows you to help them most? When you are not reactive, when you are not triggered, when you are not absorbed in their chaos, That is when you can offer your genuine presence, actual listening, and heartfelt support. The difference is night and day. Instead of two people drowning, you can be the person who throws them a life raft. This shifts everything. You stop avoiding difficult conversations because you're no longer afraid of being emotionally hijacked. You can show up fully present without taking on the other person's emotional pain. And you start to become the person that people genuinely want to talk to so they can feel heard, not judged or avoided. If you want to dive deeper into developing this quiet space within, of being able to create that space and hold that space for others, then I have created a guide called The Space Between Thoughts that you can download. What is your experience with this? Are you the type of person who carries everyone's emotions, or have you figured out a way to care without burning yourself? Let me know in the comments. And if you are ready for transformation, be sure to grab that guide you can download. The link's in the description of my profile. And most importantly, I wanted to say thank you today for creating from space. See you in the next video.